This is Middle Class Matt from don'tbuythehype.blogspot.com, and I am sports genius, flexing my knowledge and muscle, mental muscle that is. I'm doing the picks for every division in the NFL team. Today we're doing the AFC West. Now I've got the picks for the NFC done and a lot of the AFC divisions done. Check those out and be sure to put your comments in the comment box below with your picks. It's easy to say, you're stupid middle class, you have no idea what you're doing. It's much harder to put your picks up there and show that you know more than me. I did real well this last year, even picking 8 of the 12 playoff teams preseason, which is very difficult to pick NFL teams preseason because so many injuries and factors can come into play. But put them down there. So let's start from the bottom and go to the top. The bottom is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now this is a tough one to put at the bottom because they have some really good players. Their management gets it when it comes to drafting. Now, they didn't do it so much this year, but in the past, they've drafted SEC. That's the secret. There's no real genius draft formula. Draft SEC. You bring in these players, they bring an ability and an IQ and a sense of discipline that the other conferences just don't seem to teach their players. Doesn't mean that you can't get other good players from other conferences. Sure, look at Aaron Rodgers. He's not SEC. And there's a ton of other ones. But if you draft SEC, your chances of getting a bust are much less. They have some nice pieces on this team, but I think as complex as we try to put formulas of defense and pass rush and what it comes down to is a quarterback. And I don't love Matt Castle yet. I thought he was going to be a really good quarterback. He was in 2010. He showed that. I haven't seen signs that he's going to be that great quarterback again. Now they have a whole stockpile of running backs. Some of them coming off injuries like Jamal Charles or Peyton Hillis, who no one knows exactly what he's thinking half the time. So there's a lot of wild cards, even though some great players, Dwayne Bowe, and great defensive players, Brandon Flowers, a lot of SEC guys. So they have a team that's really good. So even though that I think they have lots of good players, I'm not sold on the quarterback, and I'm not sold on Romeo Crennel. He's never showed me yet that he is a great coach. And they fired Todd Haley last year, and he had just come off 2010 making the playoffs. Starts having a rough season. He didn't even finish this season. They didn't even give him 1 year. They gave him a half year, and he was gone. I thought that was crazy, but maybe they disagreed with his philosophy on things. But I have them at 7-9 this year. And this is the AFC West has become a good division. In the last year when the season started, I would have said it was one of the weakest divisions in football. It's not a bad division anymore. Next is San Diego Chargers. Norv Turner, don't trust him. Antonio Gates is old and has been injured. They lost Vincent Jackson, one of the best receivers in the NFL. They did add some defense in the offseason. That was smart and a good thing to do because their defense wasn't great last year. But I don't see them really being a lot better than they were last year. I don't see them taking great improvements. Phillip Rivers might put up big yards, but he could throw a ton of interceptions again. Matthews is a good running back. He hasn't shown to be great. I think in this offense he might have to be for them to win a lot of games. I have them at 8-8. Next is the Oakland Raiders. Now, one of the reasons that the AFC West has really taken a step up as a division is because of the quarterbacks. Like I said, all the fancy formulas you want to put out there and people talk and try to sound smart, basic principles of picking games is like quarterback is one of the big factors. It's a quarterback-driven lead. That's just the reality of it. And Carson Palmer is a real step up for the Oakland Raiders. I see them as a good team, a smash-mouth team. It may help that old Alf Davis is no longer there, which is sad that he died, but because of his absence, their management may be pushing this in more of a modern view of football. But they have some good players. Their schedule was not so bad. On the other hand, I thought Kansas City had a very tough schedule. Oakland has not an easy schedule, never in the National Football League, but not a bad schedule either. So I have them in 9-7. I feel like the defense and what Carson Palmer adds on offense with the weapons they already have, like McFadden, who can run the ball, especially if he stays healthy, that they will win 9. They'll be 9-7. So they're going to be a pretty good team this year. Winner of the AFC West will be the Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning. probably a real popular pick, a sexy pick, if you will. Most people are going to pick that. But Peyton Manning's that good, and he doesn't have a lot of great receivers. I don't understand that. Why bring in a good quarterback and not have a ton of great receivers? But he does have enough good receivers that he can make really good, like Decker. I think Eric Decker's going to have a huge season. He caught 8 touchdowns last year without Manning. I can see him catching 12 this year. Drafted him in fantasy. Was that sold on him? Feel like he was one of the big steals of my fantasy draft. Then their defense is awesome. Led by Von Miller and the rest of the crew. And so I think their defense is going to be solid. They were able to go to playoffs last year with Tim Tebow, who I love Tebow, but not as a quarterback. Now they have a real deal legit quarterback. With that, I think that pushes them to 10-6. They have an extremely difficult schedule, but Manning will be good enough to get them to 10-6, and that will put them as the champions of the AFC West. This is Middle Class Matt. Check out all my NFL videos. They're right below. You can check them out. Go down there. I've done predictions for all the divisions. I'll do fantasy. I'll do predictions every week. Check them out. This is Middle Class Matt. Check you next time.